Yesterday, this time, you'll remember we had Dr. Gilbert on our Jared Gilbert, academic Jared Gilbert, who's something of an expert, or at least an academic expert on gangs in this country. He's written on them. He's got his PhD in it. And we talked about the response of the government to the rising membership of gangs and their pernicious influence in certain areas upon the communities in which they dwell. I don't think New Zealanders have ever really thought, despite plenty of apologists out there, that having or being in a gang or having gangs is a good thing. Nevertheless, so therefore, in response to largely public demand, you'd have to say, because law and order was a huge issue at the last election, and certainly from those parties that compose the current coalition. New Zealand has, the police have responded with setting up a designated anti-gang task force. The government has said that they're going to introduce legislation which will outlaw gang insignia, gang patches in public places and the like, and that the police will be given further powers to inquire into the way in which gangs are financed, and individual gang members might have got their new wheels in a response to trying to provide, I think, some degree of public surety that things will get better before they get worse. Yes, but in this, it's not often we have the opportunity to talk to those who are actually in gangs and have been in gangs for a very, very long time. And one of those who joins us now is a spokesperson for a very prominent member of the Mongrel Mob from the Pororua City Council area, and that is Dennis Makalio, and he joins us now. Dennis, welcome to the show. Lovely to have you on.
Kia ora.
Listen, did your son run for, I'm just thinking, because I saw a Dennis Makalio Jr., did he run for the Pororua City Council last election?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he did.
How'd he go?
Oh, he got the numbers, but he wasn't actually really interested in it when they got closer to it.
Oh, really?
But he learned a bit more about what was involved.
Okay. No, it's good. It's good to see him involved, that was all. Listen, Dennis, can I ask you some personal questions first of all? How old are you?
I'm going on 63 this year.
63, so about the same age, you and I. And you've been a member of the Mongrel Mob for how long?
Oh, since 76, as a young person, as a junior member.
Okay, and where did you join, in Pororua or somewhere else?
I joined in Pororua.
Can I ask the obvious question, why? Why did you join the Mongrel Mob?
Well, in that era, when I was growing up, I mean, that was all that was there on our streets. You know, we didn't have technology, we didn't have anything. You know, I was intrigued on them, working on their V8s. I loved their cars. I just seen how they were the way they looked after each other. You know,
so you were in your early teens.
It was a different era.
Well,
yes.
Was Pororua saturated with Mongrel Mob people? Was it in 1976?
71 they started there.
Oh, 71.
After the Pika Festival.
Right. And so what particularly appealed to you? Was it to say, I want to become a Mongrel Mob member? I understand you worked on their cars, you might have liked them, but to actually join the gang itself, what was the key point for you that you said, I want to be a gang member for the rest of my life?
Well, we became junior Mongrel Mob, and how that became was all their older brothers were senior members.
Yeah.
And then when they became senior members and they wanted to start the junior ones up, then we put our hands up.
So you had an older brother in the Mongrel Mob?
No, a lot of my friends that were juniors, all their brothers were, and that's who I kicked out with. And because I kicked out with them, they kind of like, was inspired by the lifestyle that their brothers in there lived.
So I'm thinking that you must have been about, 15.
Nearly 13.
13 when you joined the Mongrel Mob. Okay. Okay. Did that make you feel better, joining it?
Oh, there was nothing else out there for us. Nothing. I mean, there was an era where you only had maybe Oh, if I remember right, there was only telephone boxes, and everybody just did everything. Police weren't involved. I mean, it was enjoying life to the fullest.
Did you do anything illegal?
Oh, we did some dumb stuff, stuff that I regret today. But also, people got to realise that we were kind of like. The way we were brought up, we were kind of like stuck in our survival brain most of our lives. I've actually just got out of my survival brain in the last 15 years.
But I'm interested in what you say, because there was a bit of a. Well, I grew up in Hawke's Bay, which, as you know, is sort of the heart of Mongrel Mob origins, anyhow, and Hastings. But one of the conventions that, we non-Mongrel Mob people thought was you've got to do something bad to join the Mongrel Mob. Were those sorts of initiation ceremonies or rites part of that?
Yeah, well, like I said, different eras. There were different eras. There's been 5 generations now.
Yes, because you've got a son, I think, that's head of the Mongrel Mob. In Christchurch, is it?
Yeah.
So. And I assume he's got children as well. Will they'll be in the mob as well? Will they? They'll stay in the mob too. You'd have grandchildren.
No, not as far as I'm concerned. No way.
Why? Why wouldn't you want your grandchildren to become Mongrel Mob members too?
Well, because like I said, we've just learned to come out of our survival brain. If they wanted to become one, they will have to become of age and wanting to join it. But there's just so much in life to do these days. I don't think they'll want to do it. I mean, they don't need to be it. They know all about it. They've been brought up around it.
The police say that the Mongrel Mob and a variety of other gangs in this country are essentially organised criminal groups or activities as a consequence of organising into those criminal groups. Is the Mongrel Mob a criminal group?
I don't think they're no different than anybody else.
You don't?
I mean, what do we do? Well, what do we do that normal society people don't do every day?
Probably end up in prison. I mean, there's a huge... No, but there are a huge proportion of Mongrel Mob members, for example, who are now in our prisons.
But the gangs in New Zealand are only 1% of crime. Okay,
How do you know
should
that?
Ask the police that yourself. Because,
I have asked the police.
Yeah, because we have hooies. We have hooies with them. Hey, and a lot of stuff that has been said, they don't agree on it, but they just got to bite the bullet.
So you don't think that the police think that you're a problem?
Well, I don't think that banning patches is a solution.
No.
I don't think banning patches and their beliefs and their customs is the answer.
Yeah, but like I said, I'll go back to it. You've got so many patched and prospect gang members sitting in New Zealand prison at the moment, the Mongrel Mob. I think the last count I saw, it was over 1,000 who are associated with the Mongrel Mob. That would pretty clearly suggest that the Mongrel Mob is a criminal organisation, yeah?
Well, you can look at it that way. I mean, everyone got their own perspective, At the end of the day, a lot of clubs started up in poor poverty areas, which we look after our communities. Everyone that wants to moan and bleat and have their own perspective on it, is all people that come from rich areas and all that. I mean, we've been mistreated. Hey, we got to do what we need to survive.
Does that include selling drugs and intimidating people and taxing?
Well, who hasn't gone to court for methamphetamine beside a judge?
Well, just about everybody. I mean, most of us don't take methamphetamine. Yeah,
exactly. But we get pinpointed. I mean, if you go back to the original before drugs were imported and all that, and imported into New Zealand, who was making it? Hey, if you go back to the newspapers, they were university students. Hey, it goes back to when they were making LSD even earlier before that.
But I think we'd well understand that people who manufacture and sell drugs for profit are not good people, yeah?
Well, we've learned that it's a chemical. Okay, we've had to learn the hard way. We've learned that it's no good for us.